Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend a little bit of time discussing cards from Lord of the Rings, the card game, by Fantasy Flight Games. And I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride.
And today we have the honor, nay, the privilege of having with us Durin's father, Daan Prins from the Netherlands, I believe. I want to make sure I get that right because I know that there's a lot of nationalism over, that we don't want to cross our countries here. So, but Dan, it's so nice to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a long time listener of the show, and finally time for my own episode. So,
yeah. Just to make sure that the community knows, or the people watching the show or listening to the show know, you are known as Durin's father, like all over the place. That's kind of your handle in the community, and you are kind of the creator and what do I want to say, like chief guy of the Vision of the Palantir, which is like the one-stop shop for just about everything LOTR, the card game, right?
Well, I do tend to focus on more the. I have a couple of series that I mainly focus on, and other blogs take it from there. So I don't really focus on deck building, but more scenario analysis and trait analysis.
Yeah, actually, recently I've been playing through the Haradrim cycle, and I had to figure out how race across. Help me out. What's the name of this?
Yeah, Race Across Harad.
A Race Across Harad, right? Yeah. I wanted to say Race Across Ravanian, and I was like, no, that's not right. It's Rome Across Ravanian and Race, right? Yeah. And so, but not that you don't write all of those, but you definitely curate all of that for everybody.
Yeah, I believe Race Across Harad was done by Matt Duckworth, who is one of my co-creators, and he and many other people really lighten the load on the blog and keep out pouring content, so I don't have to do one analysis per 3 days.
Now,
I have a life.
Yeah. Well, says you. So what else do you do? I mean, the Vision of the Palantir is super awesome, but you're in what? Do you do videos? Do you do? I don't think you do many.
I don't directly show my face or let my voice be heard because I'm not a native English speaker. So my written English, I can backspace written English. I can't backspace my voice. There's only a button on there, and I kind of press that a lot. But I can be found in the community, like in the Facebook group. I'm pretty active in the COTR Discord server. You can find me in the chat of many streams or podcast episodes. I'm all over the place.
Yeah. I was going to say, you're probably one of the most, I don't know, accessible of all the people who are, I consider, like top tier LOTR players. Everybody's super nice playing the game, but, like I always feel like you're always on somewhere, whether you're in Discord or whether you're on the Facebook, like you're always adding good commentary to the group. But tell us, yeah. You're pretty awesome, Dan. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you just recently got back from the United States, but tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I joined the game probably around the Voice of Isengard and Ringmaker cycle time, so I haven't been playing from the get-go. Ever since, I've been trying to get up to recent content, but on a student's budget that can be a bit expensive.
Right.
Especially also with the lack of availability of some packs here in Europe. It can get a bit tricky, especially with Nightmare, which is why Con of the Rings was so amazing, because you can get them right from the source and you don't have to spend, I don't know, €10 shipping costs per
Right.
pack. Yeah.
Yeah, Grant and I were just talking last night about how crazy it is to have most of the shipping happening from the United States and having to go to Europe. Like I guess I'm fortunate that I live in the United States, at least for shipping. The collector's edition. I got the collector's edition, and it only cost me $10. But I think for Grant, and if you were going to get in the UK or in Europe, you would have to pay almost the same price for
Double.
shipping. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pain.
Yeah,
And yeah.
I apologize. You were going to say something else, like I don't know. We were talking about who you were, what you did, student.
Oh yeah. I caught up roughly about a year ago when Crossings of Boros got delayed for everyone else but me. I got my pack in July. Everyone else had to wait till January.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I got my hands on that early. Ever since, I've been expanding Nightmare packs. I've caught up on Saga stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty much a completionist, but I'm still lacking a couple of Nightmare packs.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a lot of Nightmare. I do have some Nightmare, but I have all the whatchamacallit, all the regular.
Standard.
Yeah. What did you say, Grant?
I said all the standard packs.
Yeah. That's what they are.
Yeah.
Grant's the brains behind all this.
You're the voice, he's the brains.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just along for
So,
the
yeah.
ride.
Yeah. Keeping us on track.
Right.
Yeah, and then when the winter came, like January, I got a bit bored, and then I decided, like, okay, let's try this blogging thing. I'm completely new to this. I haven't done anything with WordPress, with Patreon, nothing. Let's just dive on in and see where this leads us. So in a week, I wrote the scenario analysis of the core set. Mm-hmm. So Passage, Anduin, and Durin. Guess which one took the longest?
Was it Durin? Yeah. Really?
Yeah. It's there's a certain strategy behind it. And
yeah, that's for
once
sure.
you unlock that, I won't say it's easy, but you have a higher percentage of winning.
David still hasn't unlocked that strategy yet.
Yeah. I refuse to build a deck just to beat one scenario. Like I draw the line there. Like I'll tech decks a little bit and I'll change them around and stuff, but I just can't bring myself to build a deck just to beat one scenario, and I feel like that's what I would have to do to beat Durin. I've tried playing it 100 times and I've never beaten it. So I don't know.
I'm a bit of the same mindset. I'm not a great deck builder in my mind. Some people say I am. I don't consider myself to be one. But I have 14 decks ready, physical decks, at one time. And I use those for any quest. But I don't deck build for one specific scenario. I'd rather play something else.
So let me ask you this question. I've been kind of asking some of our guests what this, and it's interesting to hear all the different answers with kind of the different reasons why. But what is your favorite scenario? Maybe not of all time, maybe like right now, which one are you drawn to? Or maybe of all time, I don't know. But what's your favorite?
Well, I mean, there are so many quests out there and everything appeals to someone. But if I had to group a couple in my favorite spot, Trouble in Farbad, it's a fun one just because it throws the threat dynamic on its head. Ringo South, purely for also thematic reasons, because it's fun part of the saga, and it uses locations pretty well. Temple of the Deceived, the one with the map mechanic from Dream Chaser.
Yep, that one's so unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So quests like that, not those that really focus on combat. I'm not really a combat kind of guy. I'm more supportive, explore some locations.
You're a lover, not a fighter.
There you go.
Yeah.
So do you prefer multiplayer or solo play?
I need someone to defend my attacks, so yeah, multiplayer.
Notice that was the quickest one that he responded to, too. Like, all the questions up to then, like, he's like, well, you know, I don't know. And then now he's like, nope, need multiplayer, definitely.
Yeah. Well, in order to play the decks I like best, I need someone to help me out. But the solo aspect of the game is one of the biggest things that got me involved in it. So I can play the game by myself, just if I have a spare hour, just boot up a quest and go ahead, or two-handed if I'm feeling confused, because I don't usually do that.
Right.
But yeah, multiplayer as well. I don't have a play group for like the physical deck because it's too big of an investment for everyone. They're all Magic players, so I don't have money anyway.
Talk about a big investment. What?
Yeah.
Magic's a way bigger investment than this game.
Yeah, but they're too deep invested in it. So
I gotcha. They're not going to switch.
Can't spend.
They're not going to change gears right now. Yeah. Man.
But I have a couple of Discord servers in which I play, almost weekly multiplayer games. So that's fun.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, the online 20 years ago, online doing this stuff like this would have been impossible. But technology, you can do all this crazy stuff now, and it's amazing. So where does the 3 trials fit into this? Do you know why I'm talking about the 3 trials in terms of your favorite?
I am.
Okay. So
yeah, I've got a pretty good grasp of the card pool.
Okay.
The 3 trials was one of my first adventure packs that I bought somewhat at the same time that it was released. And I opened it and I played the quest and I'm like, okay, this is not one to play solo. Like, it really punishes you with a boss level enemy all the time, and then 3 boss level enemies at the end.
Right.
But then I took a look at the hero and I'm like, I can make a deck out of this that I'll enjoy.
Yeah, so why don't you talk about this hero from the 3 trials?
Yeah.
Because I think, if I had to guess, that's the card we're going to talk about, right?
It is. Yeah. It's a very nice transition like this.
I did the best I could.
Yeah, well. The hero is a spirit hero, 11th threat Drain. She has 2 willpower, 3 attack, 2 defense, and 4 hit points. She is both Durin, Ranger, and Scout. And her only text in text box is a response. After location is explored, ready Drain. No restriction on or limits to that, which is fun.
Yeah. Tell us why you chose the card, and tell us about how you use Idrayan here.
To note first is that she's a pretty high level threat hero for Spirit. Mm-hmm. They tend to be about 9 or lower when you look at like Hobbits or Spirit Glorfindel. But she's an 11. She's an FFG created hero at this level, and she is the only Spirit Dundine hero at this point in the game. We don't have a Spirit Aragorn yet.
Oh, we will.
Eventually, yeah. They'll run out of ideas. And what also strikes me is that she's got very decent stats that she gets to use more often because she has a built-in readying effect. So you can use her to quest. If you explore the active location, great. You can use her to either defend or attack. And not many heroes in Spirit are that versatile. Like you have Eowyn, who's great for questing, and Baragont, who's great for defending, but not both.
Right. Yeah, it's just as a quick aside, she's got the same stat line with the exception of 1 less hit point as Aragorn does. And all the same not all the same traits, but I mean, I think Aragorn roughly is a Dunedain ranger. I don't think he's a scout. Maybe some of the I don't know, this is where Grant does some of the work. I don't know.
Well, maybe it is Spirit Aragorn in disguise.
Right.
Man.
Right.
or I am no man.
Right. Yeah, but so how do you use her? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious from the kind of the beginning that you would use her in a either in a quest that is location heavy, and I kind of talk about the the Shadows of Mirkwood cycle, like Hunt for Gollum, which is all locations. Like you can probably get your money's worth out of
Heels of MM Wheel is a nice testing deck for her as well.
Yeah. Those location heavy sorts of things. But how do you use her in a deck? Like, who do you pair her with in terms of heroes, or what cards go well with her?
Well, since she is Durin and in Spirit, she pairs well with any Noldor hero. So this opens up like Heirs of Erendil, which discards locations, and Tale of Tenuvio. And the last one is really interesting since you can, for example, exhaust Galadriel for +4 to all of Idraen's stats, which is, well, pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's a solid combo. I like to use her in either mono Spirit deck or run her alongside lore cards, so more exploration to get some. Maybe use Spirit, Glorfindel, and Asphaleth so you can snipe locations.
Right. Well, and that's what I was going to say, is that I think that there's some easy combos, when you think about it, like, because you're dealing with Spirit, and a lot of times you want to have at least 2 heroes in one. A true Trisphere deck is hard to really get going in terms of mechanics and things like that because you're resource starved and things like that. But, I think the easy pairing to get the most out of Idrian is Spirit, Glorfindel, and his horse. Asphaleth does too, and you can do that. And then you have all those, the Dunedain, the Tracker, and the Northern Tracker, and the what's the other one from the core set that does the Grant? Help me out.
Guide?
The guide, Lorien Guide. That's it.
Yeah.
Lorien Guide.
Yeah. And so doing those things to try to get as many locations.
Explored. That's also important to note, is that it doesn't say after the active location is explored, any location.
Right.
So you can soften some locations up, and then just go ham with taking defenses or attacking multiple times while also questing. And there are a lot of fun combos to do with her as well.
Oh, because here I just realized, like, you can exhaust Asphaleth anytime you want, right? And to put that, so you can defend, exhaust Asphaleth, and then ready Idrian, provided that the two
progress is enough.
Does whatever you needed to do on a location. Yeah. So I mean, that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to do the show. I mean, not that this is, is that like, I learned so much from the community doing these sorts of things, and not that that's something that is too totally tricky, and that's not necessarily a lot of shenanigans. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people out there that run Spirit, Glorfindel, and Asphaleth. Like, that's not a tricky combo by any stretch of the imagination. But
it's almost as original as Sneak Attack Gandalf.
Right. Yeah. Right. Citadel Plate and Gimli. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, but thinking about the timing is really what makes the game really arty.
Timing is really important with her. I like to use another hero with Steed of Imladris. So you quest with Idrian, you exhaust her, and then with Steed of Imladris you can discard a card to place 2 progress on active location. This can probably explore it, and then you get to ready Idrain before staging, which saves her from direct damages like
right.
I don't know.
Everybody's take 1 damage to each exhausted character, right?
Yeah.
And just a rules clarification for the audience out there is, even though she would ready, she's still committed to the quest. So,
Yes.
Readying doesn't affect their commitment to the quest, or else Glorfindel with a Light of Valinor would never commit to the quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, timing like that is really
Right.
important with her to get the maximum out of her ability. Which leads me into one of my other favorite combinations with her. Is another core set classic that you probably left in your binder up to this point. Strength of Will. So you travel to a location and then you exhaust a spirit hero or spirit character, to place 2 progress on that location.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess who you're going to exhaust to explore that location with the 2 progress.
Right.
So you can keep that going by traveling once in travel phase,
Right.
place 2 progress on it, properly explore it if you've softened it up or it's an easy location.
Right.
Then you use Thor's Map, for example, which is travel action to travel again.
Mm-hmm.
That's another location gone. And in the new pack, there's a new event, South Away, which is also a travel action.
Right.
But that requires some more Woodman related stuff. Yeah.
Grant, you've been quiet over there. What are your thoughts of Idrian?
She's not a hero I've used much. I've used her a little bit more recently with the Bjorn Guardians. I've had her questing. I've generally I ran her with Spirit Glorfindel, herself, and a tactics hero. So I'd have her defend the attack, then attack with the Bjorn Guardian to kill a squishier enemy, put progress on the location if it would clear it out, and then ready to drain so I can take on the bigger boss with the other heroes. So it works. She's a good hero. It's just I don't spend much time. She's one that I think's a good hero, but it takes some building around and some quest knowledge.
Yeah, she's certainly not one to throw into any deck. That's where the 11th threat becomes a hindrance. And yeah, she does require some tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to say that of any of the spheres, and I don't know how many of the shows you watch, but any regular listener of the show would probably know that I'm a low threat guy. So when I see an 11 threat hero, I immediately cringe a little bit. Although I have been loosening up a little bit since I've started doing the show. So again, one of the reasons why I love doing the show is my own personal greedy reasons.
Growth as a player.
Right. But I think if there's any sphere where you don't mind having 11 starting threat, from a hero, it's going to be Spirit, just naturally, because Spirit has all the access to the threat reduction.
Yeah.
And I think because of the mechanics of the hero, I think you want to, hang on to. You probably want to pair it with lore if you're not going to go mono Spirit. You're probably going to want to pair her with lore and Haldan and try. Does Haldan work with this? Because there's that new location control that that's more like put attachments on locations. I'm not sure if she pairs with Haldan well.
The deck I currently have with her runs Haldan and Glorfindel, either version, Lore or Spirit. I'm still debating between the two. And the deck works perfectly because all 3 of your heroes are questing, and 9 times out of 10, all 3 heroes are ready for combat as well. So Light of Valinor on Glorfindel, a location in play with an attachment on it, or an active location has an attachment on it, so Haldan doesn't exhaust. And then Idrian readies once the location has been explored. So now you have three attack heroes ready for combat. Granted, you will need some sort of defending, and that's where the multiplayer aspect comes in.
Well, Idrian is not a horrible defender. I mean, she's got 2 defense and 4 hit points, so she's probably a better defender than. Well, she's definitely. What's Haldan? 2 and 4 as well.
1 and 4.
He's 1 defense and 4. Okay.
Yeah.
And Glorfindel is 1 and 5. So I mean, those aren't horrible defenders. It's not like you're It's not like you're throwing Squire of the Citadel in front of everybody.
Well, he's a good defender in his own right, but
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, you need some sort of defending, but you've got some great defenders in Spirit. You have Jubair, you have the Eladin and Elrahir combo with allies. You can always equip Haldan with a Burning Brand and take on some smaller enemies and not suffer the shadow effects. So there are some ways around it. But
you could always cheat and use Ally Treebeard.
Ooh, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, anytime I think somebody's having a trouble with something, I feel like Ally Treebeard can do it. Questing, attacking, defending. Although he's not the best quester, but still, like Ally Treebeard helps everybody do everything. Man.
And just for your information, David, none of the Aragorns that we have to date has the scout trait.
None of them.
I run scouting party with Idrain a lot because I think whenever someone thinks of a scout hero, Idrain is one of the first heroes that pops into your mind. But she and Haldan both are scouts, so they're both with scouting party questing for 8, and then if you throw in a couple of allies,
Is Haldir of Lorien a scout? I feel like he's got a trait that's kind of a strange one for him. So, I mean, there's a funny looking group right there, because you could definitely defend. You don't have to defend if you had Haldir in the group. Although if you're running Haldan, Haldir, and Idrian, oh my God,
it's a high threat.
It's high threat, and you're probably going to have to engage.
Yeah, you've also got the Warden of Arnor to attach to a scout hero.
Yep, that's true. Came in the same pack.
Okay.
So that's one of her tools, one of her toys, really. But it pairs poorly with the Woodman deck because the Woodman's Path, which reduces the quest points to 1, can only attach to locations without progress on it. And if you want to Woodman's Path the location which Warden of Honor just triggered on, either you don't have to trigger the response on it, or you have to use an ally that I don't think anyone uses, Ravenhill Scout, to move the progress away.
And so it seems like what you're talking about here is kind of a little bit of this kind of new location stuff that kind of the latest cycle has, where you're putting attachments on stuff and you're doing all sorts of crazy things to the locations, which is interesting, but it can be, I don't know, it can be anything new people don't necessarily love, I guess. But Idrian kind of slots right in there with that. I think I said to you before we started recording that some of the new. I haven't even made a Dale deck. Let me just say that, not that I haven't wanted to. It's just time and life and things like that. So I don't know. It's one of those things, I guess.
Yeah, I think she'll slot in perfectly with. We haven't seen all of the Woodman synergy yet. I talked to Caleb when I brought Haldan deck up against him, and he said that we're going to love the Woodman things coming out in the next 4 packs. So hopefully that will push the deck to new heights. But we'll see. Until then, I'm running Idrain in my Haldan deck, and it works perfectly.
What's the one thing that you want Idrian to have? Like the one attachment, or one mount, or the one other ally, like one other hero? What's the one thing that Idrian has to have in order to be the best that she can be?
Well, she doesn't really require attachments for herself, but it's probably a boon to have Asphaleth on the table anywhere.
Now, Asphaleth, does that doesn't have to go on? That doesn't have to go
on Glorfindel, but it does have to go on Noldor or Sylvan.
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it is Glorfindel's horse, right?
Yes,
Yes.
it is Glorfindel's horse.
So if you don't attach it to Glorfindel, it becomes 1 progress instead of 2. Which still, it's fine, but not as overpowered as the 2. What you could do is one of my other combos for a more attacky approach to Idrain is put Elfrand on her and then equip her with Mirkwood Long Knife. So the 2-cost weapon from Sands of Harad, +1 willpower and +1 attack. Since she can ready, she'll probably use both of those stats.
Right.
So she can become a 4 willpower, 5 attack hero, which is decent.
I haven't heard you say anything
that's
about
combo.
bringing in Legolas, Hero Legolas, that does the one, and then
That's also, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, but that one, it's not like you're looking for one. Look, I don't know how many. I mean, you do a lot of the quest analysis too, so maybe but like, what's the sweet spot with locations? Is it if you can have, if you could put 3 progress down on a turn, is that likely going to get you through a location so you can ready Adrian, or?
Well, that depends on where in the card pool you're talking about, because what was one of the main reasons that Asphalth is so good in the early card pool as opposed to Heirs of Numenor and old stuff afterwards, is that there are a lot of 2 quest point locations in the Dwarven cycle and the Shadows of Mirkwood cycle. Because, I mean, what's the last time you've seen a 2 quest point location recently?
The Desert Oasis in the Race Across Harad is a 2 quest point location. Just happens to be the one that I'm playing right now.
Okay, but you don't want to explore that one in staging area.
Right, right. And all the other, and that one's a positive location, and the other ones are like 4 and 5. So you're right. And so, but that's I guess that's what I'm saying. It's like, pairing it, having a hero slot taken up by Legolas and having him do maybe 1 progress because he kills something may not be worth it. Instead, going with Haldan, and you know what I mean, like when you're weighing out your options, that's going to maximize Idrian. And then what does Erod do? Is that 2 more?
1 progress on any location.
Okay, but does he still have to be part of the killing?
Yes, the attached hero must kill an enemy, and then you get place 1 progress on any location. So it usually goes on Legolas,
right.
But it can go on any hero. So as long as you have a tactics sphere match, it's a good card for Idrain. So that's why a multiplayer game with a couple of location control guards can make her ready every turn, maybe twice, as long as there are locations.
What are you thinking over there, Grant? I feel like I heard a printer printing in the background or something. Were you printing off your homework or something? Like
no. I'm not sure what you heard, mate.
Oh.
But no, I was just looking through for the 2-point locations, and there's actually a fair few of them. Most of them now have immune to player card effects, but one of them that caught me eye that doesn't is the Ring Wall of Isengard.
Oh.
Okay.
So that's up for a little bit of shenanigans, but that's spoken for Asphalth and other sorts of trickery.
But you can be sure that whenever the designers are now going to design a location, they keep Asphalth in the back of their mind.
Yes.
Like, in this location, can it immediately be explored that way? So, to get back to the original question, I think 3 progress is doable with her. So you do Warden of Anor and maybe a Northern Tracker somewhere.
Okay.
And 4 will explore the majority of locations.
Right. For those that have a lot,
as
as long as they're out and able to be explored, right?
outside of the location control deck, she's still a relatively versatile hero in Spirit, especially for people who are playing this game in progression mode, because there aren't that many balanced Spirit heroes out there.
Right.
Like Glorfindel is the exception, but he's always an exception.
I don't even think that he's really that balanced, though, is he? Like, he has 1 defense, and I guess because he's got 5 hit points, that makes him a little more balanced than what I think. But 3-3-1 is not, balanced until you get down there. But so okay, I take that back.
He can still defend the small attack. I mean, has the same. Yeah.
He can take a swing from a stone giant or something.
Maybe. But in terms of other well-balanced heroes, you have Eleanor, but to a lesser degree. Plus, she'll be exhausting for her ability.
Right.
Caldera, but she's halfway through the game. She'll be gone. And then you have Brand, Son of Bane, Bard, Son of Brand, from the Wilds of Ravanion box, who has 2-2-2-3, I believe.
Okay.
And that's pretty balanced, but that's later in card pool, so progression players don't get to enjoy that. So she can slot into a majority of decks, but she's best used in a location control deck.
Grant, what do you got going on over there?
Sorry, just munching me tea there, mate. But no, she's definitely one of the more balanced heroes that we've got at the minute from the Spirit Sphere.
So, Grant, what do you think?
Yeah.
Should we ring her?
So why not? Let's get on with it.
Okay, so Dan, just so you know, we have a highly arbitrary yet scientific system for this. We ring people, ring cards on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is the one card to rule them all, and 10 is the trash bin. So, because you're the guest, we'll let you choose. Do you want to be first, second, or third in terms of your ringing?
I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts first, so I'll go last.
Okay.
See if we agree.
Well, David, since I went first yesterday, I'll let you have the honors tonight.
Okay. So I have never been drawn to Idrian. I have a complete card pool, just in the interest of full disclosure. I am lacking some of the Nightmare, but I have a complete player card pool. And I've never been drawn to Idrian. Now, I'm slightly more drawn to Idrian, or Idrain, or however you I don't know. Anyways, I'm slightly more drawn to her now with the new location shenanigans decks with Haldan, because I think that that's an interesting new take on the location control. But she's not going to get a very high rating from me. I don't think that she's going to, because she doesn't ever jump out of the binder for what I'm used to, and so when I'm searching for a spirit hero, I'm always reaching for Glorfindel, Círdan, Frodo. Those are the spirit heroes that I'm looking to slot into decks more than anything else. So I think she is versatile, and she is because she can go into a lot of places. But I feel like I don't know. I just feel like she may be a little versatile, and she may be balanced, but I think that she still doesn't jump off the page. So I'm gonna have to go with a 7 rings for me. That's where I fall. Grant, how about you?
Well, I like her as a hero. I've used her a few times, but again, she's not in my binder, but I've used her a few times. But again, she's not one that I play with often. I can see her uses, just great for location control, but again, I'm going to have to agree with David, 7 rings.
Okay, Dan, you're up, buddy.
Well, first of all, I'd like to invite both of you to try her out sometime with location control deck, if that's your style of playing. I understand it's not everyone. Some people want to smash face with heroes or quest for a Gajillion. And Idrain does both of those, but less. She's very versatile. She can be slotted in for replacement heroes. If you run into a double Theoden conundrum, you can replace Spirit Theoden with her. And she goes into any deck without her toys. She'll still do something, at least. So for that, I'd give her probably 5 rings, because I don't see her that often. Not as often as I'd like. But she's still powerful in her own regard. And she's not a basic 2/2/2/4, which I like as well.
Right. Okay, well, there you have it, Dan. Thank you so much for joining us and talking about Idrain. At some point,
We're still not
right.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm going to learn how to pronounce Tolkien names. It took me 20 years to learn how to pronounce his name. But thanks for joining us and talking about Idrain here.
Yeah, it's been fun for everyone listening. Get to Vision of Palantir. I've got a Scout article in there where I discuss her in text as well, as one of the staples of the Scout archetype. And if anyone wants to support the blog, you can by running your own articles or supporting through recommendations, likes, or Patreon. So that's it.
Yeah, and I can't recommend Vision of the Palantir enough. It's an amazing blog. It's one of the finest out there. So,
and we'll have a link to it in the description below.
Wow! Wow! See, we just migrated all our information to its own YouTube channel, so now we can do that stuff. Go below, and we got this. So anyway, so. Join us next time on Card Talk. Thank you all for being here. And if you're interested in finding this or any of our back episodes of Card Talk, feel free to search YouTube, where you can find our flagship video episodes with the username Card Talk 2018. Or you can search the RSS feed, cardtalk2018.libsyn.org, for our extended audio versions of our podcast. Or you can find us on Facebook at Card Talk 2018. And if you have any questions for Grant or myself, or for both of us, feel free to email us at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.